Hello, welcome to my video. Today, we're doing a tier list for Duels Passive Treasures, the first round of them. Let's get to the tier list and let's define all of our tiers. Alright, so we're here, and our S tiers obviously are run-defining tiers. Those are going to be the ones that really set you up for powerful turns no matter where you are in the run. The drop-off is pretty low. They usually get to you to a pretty good start, especially in these early rounds where it's really easy to die or really easy just to run away with the game. And then number 2, our second tier, is going to be our solid pick tier. And it's going to be a good pick. It's not going to be obviously run-defining. They're going to have their strong moments. They're going to have their moments where they do win you the game, but they're not winning you every single game. They're not winning you games maybe in the later rounds. They're just things that it's one that just gets you started until you get your second passive. And then your only okay is your only okay tier is going to be it's going to make maybe a small margin of difference, you know. Maybe it'll proc once or twice during the game and it might give you the thing that you need, but most of the time it's not going to be the thing you're looking for. And lastly, well, I guess not lastly, but second to last is going to be our niche category. And that's where I'm just going to put all the build around treasures, all the ones that you kind of have to fish for, and it is kind of a gamble if you build your whole deck around it, but it does pay off. And then dog water is just, I don't think there are going to be many of these in here, but I'm sure there's just F tier. I'm sure there's an F tier level here. All right, with that, let's start off. Let me pull up the wiki. And of course, it's all shall serve. I believe this is kind of new, or at least it's been reworked. Whenever a demon dies, draw a card. And I don't think it's a very good pick. I don't think it's dog water, because I think if you have a demon built deck, I'm sure Demon Hunter and Warlock would really appreciate it. And I think there are some incidental demons in other classes, but definitely niche build around. You're only gonna play it in Warlock or Demon Hunter. And now I think this is our first run-defining card. To start off. And it's all together now. And it's your battle cry cards cost 1 less, but not less than 2. Wow. Now, before it was nerfed to just be not less than 1, this was like one of the best picks you could do, because it just made your whole deck cost 1 if you built your deck correctly. And still just making everything cost 1 less even till 2. That's insane. It's won me so many games by just playing a really good minion a turn faster. And especially with the coin, you're able to power out a 4-drop on turn 3, you know, or turn 2. It's kind of insane. And enough gushing about that, because our next one is Arcane Flux. And I actually haven't played this one at all, because I don't play a lot of Mage, though. And Arcane Flux. It says, after you cast your first arcane spell in a turn, discover a card from your class. You know, I think Arcane Flux is only okay. There aren't too many good, like, there are good arcane spells, but especially when it's just your first arcane spell, you're not really generating enough cards, and you'll run out of arcane spells eventually, so maybe you'll only get 2-3 triggers of this, and I guess that's good enough. That's 3 cards. So that's really good if you don't get any like mana buffing treasure. And on the next one, Arcanite Crystal. After you cast an arcane spell, reduce the amount of reduce the cost of a card in your hand by 1, but not less than 1. If it didn't have that last line of text, I don't think it would be dog water. But with that, I think it's just dog water. Because it's any card in your hand, and once there's a card with the cost 1 in your hand, it will start soaking up so many of those. And again, with me talking about Arcane Flux, you only have a limited amount of arcane spells, especially if you're running the quest. Or I guess if you build an all arcane spell deck, it's good. But even this one, I think even with an all arcane spell deck, you're getting like 2 or 3 triggers of it, and you're just I don't think you're hitting anything. And so now to Arctic Armor, and it's whenever you freeze an enemy, gain an armor. I think that is a solid pick. I think it is a really, really solid pick, especially in Mage. I think in Shaman, it's not too bad now. Where else am I thinking? Not really much else, but I think there's enough freeze effects that it, as a mage, I think there's enough freeze effects to really help you like stabilize. And I think it's a solid pick only for mage, but I would pick it almost every time I'm playing freeze mage. If I'm playing Blizzard, if I'm playing Frost Nova, that's just freeze all enemies, gain 5 armor. That's enough for me. That adds a lot of text to a lot of cards. And now the next. Oh, I think we're missing one. Yeah, we don't have the updated list, I guess. But the next one is Blizzard Bitter Cold, and it's a passive frost spell, damage 2. And I think that's not bad, but how many frost spells actually do damage, right? You have it doing damage to creatures, but not to face. The only one I think that does, you have like Frostbolt, and you have Ice Lance, which honestly is almost enough to make it pretty okay. So I think if I were to put Bitter Cold, I think I would pick it as an okay pick. It'd be pretty good if you didn't get your Mystic Armor. Honestly, it could be as good. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think Bitter Cold and Arctic Armor are about the same. And wait, what the heck? I feel like I'm missing. All right. I played against Book of Wonders a lot, and I think it's only okay. Like, if in the classes that you can draw a lot, like Demon Hunter, Mage, Warlock, they get better, and it becomes like a solid pick because you can just randomly win games. I will say that Book of Wonders is a solid pick. And brings me to Cannibalism. And Cannibalism in token decks, it used to be really, really good whenever you could get From the Swamp and Cannibalism, and you would just like make so many zombies, and those zombies just feed everything. And now it's a little bit toned down, where maybe you're getting an extra 2 or 3 damage, and every time someone decides to trade incorrectly. So I'd say it's only okay. I think most of the time you'll find a better pick if you just don't get something that's dog shit. And now, Conduit of the Storm. It is a passive. If you are at the start of the turn, if you are overloaded, gain +2 attack. I think that is just, I don't think it's good at all. Half of the shamans aren't even becoming overloaded. So it just, like, the only class that can play it, you can't even do anything with it half the time. And maybe if you're like the hero power shaman, Wind Fury shaman, you don't want to be wasting your mana hero powering so you can get use out of your treasure. Of course, it gives you like extra 2 damage whenever you're overloaded, but again, you have to be overloaded. And I don't think you really need 2 extra damage when you're overloaded. Especially when it's with your face, like whenever it can't just, like, you can't just fire it at someone. Alright. And now, we get the Crystal Gem. Crystal Gem, that is one of the best treasures you can get, I think. It is a run definer, especially for many of these quest decks, many of these, like, Death Rattle Hunter, Demon Hunter. It's on the first 2 turns, you get an extra mana crystal. That's incredible. It means you can coin out a 4-drop on turn 2. That's like one of my favorite things to do with it. It lets you play an egg if you're a hunter, and then hero power next turn. There are just so many possibilities, so many ways that it just helps you just get to a good start in each of your games, that I think it is S tier. It is one of the best. Alright, and after Crystal Gem, Divine Illumination. After you cast your first holy spell in a turn, discover a card from your class. And I think holy spells are easier to find in Priest than arcane spells are. I believe you have a little bit more holy than you have arcane in Priest. Maybe not with all the Shadow Priests running around, especially with the Shadow Priest running around. I guess it's not as good. But, you know, it's just tempo. If you're playing like a control-y priest, if you need a little bit more cards to blast your opponent, I would say it's not bad, especially if you're playing the rapid fire, just anti-heal damage priest. I'd say Divine Illumination is not bad. It's not the best. You could do better. There's a couple more passives I think that would be better, but you know, I'd take it. It's I'd say only okay. And Dragon Affinity. Your dragons cost 2 less. That is a powerful effect, and they don't even cap it. Your Twilight, your fairy dragons now cost 0. That's insane. If you have a fairy dragon in your deck, 0 mana fairy dragon. I think that just alone, especially with like, I think there could be a Dragon Priest, and I played some Dragon Priest to some extent, but I do think the metagame has to look a certain way, or you have to play the deck a certain way in order for it to really pop off. But with -2 to all your dragons, that's a lot of tempo that you can be getting really early, especially with the coin. Again, you can coin a 4-drop on turn 2. Think about it. Alright, and our second dragon-related treasure, and if you're building your deck, and you want Dragon Affinity, and you get offered Dragon Blood, you're just, I'm so mad. It's just the worst. After a friendly dragon dies, give 2 minions in your hand, +1/+1. You're not playing that many dragons to stack up that +1/+1 to make it worth it. You're not gonna make You're not gonna make a fat minion. You're not gonna make a really big 1 minion. You're gonna have like slightly bigger. And like what are you passing up? You're passing up literally anything else for an effect that will maybe happen twice and marginally affect things. So that's why it's in the dog shit tier. Dog water. F tier. Ever-changing elixir. Now, you may see this and may think it's why? Why would you ever play ever-changing elixir? That's awful. But it's really, really, really good, especially if you have cost reduction effects in your deck naturally. So you can just play like a cheap a cheap minion, like a cheap, expensive minion. Like, think of the Evolved Shaman plan. But it's just constant Evolved Shaman. And if your opponent does not clear your minion off, it will become a big problem. And it actually, a turn 1 minion, like a turn 1 coin 2 drop, can snowball into a game win, especially in those early rounds. And that's what these early treasures are about, is getting those wins in the early rounds. And with our next treasure, we have Firekeeper's Idol. And it is, after you cast a fire spell, summon a 1/2 flame elemental and add 1 to your hand. Wow, I did not know it added 1 to your hand. I think this is especially good. I think it's especially good in Mage. And it's not bad in an elemental kind of steered Shaman. But I'm sure Shaman would take any kind of different treasures. But if you're playing enough fire spells, you can rack up a little bit of board advantage. If it only put it in your hands, I think it'd be bad. But since there's 1 on the board, it helps you get a lot of good trades with your burn spells. So I'd say it's only okay, though. It's only okay. And now Fire Shaper. Fire Shaper is a solid pick. I will not say it's run defining, because yes, there are times that it's helped me win games, but the inconsistency and really just relying on not hitting the right thing at certain times is not my favorite thing in a duels run, especially whenever it comes down to, like, I'm playing like Priest or something, and I'm trying to specifically kill something, or like Warlock. And you just waste a lot of value with it sometimes, especially since it's random. But it's a solid pick because it is just extra damage, especially if you're very, very spell oriented. And next, Freeze Solid. Whenever damage is dealt to a frozen enemy, double it. I haven't played with Mage. But I would imagine this is incredible, right? You blizzard or you freeze face, and then you just is it freeze and then damage, or damage and then freeze? Because blizzard could become deal 4 and freeze, and that's pretty good. I actually don't have any. I'll say it's gonna be a solid pick, because I have no actual experience with it, but I would have to imagine it's pretty decent, especially if you have a deck with those frost elementals just hitting face. That's a good way to get some good passive damage. Turn your fireballs into Pyroblast Plus. Not bad. From the Swamp. After the first enemy dies, each turn raise a 1/1 bloated zombie. This card used to be a lot better. It used to be a whole lot better. Whenever it was a second tier effect, and it did it any time a minion died. But now it's just once a turn. It's all right. I think it's on the level of Firekeeper Idol. It's not bad. It's not the worst. But it keeps you with constant tempo. If you want to constantly have a minion on board, I think that's a good way to keep that tempo going. And it is first enemy each turn. So technically you could get a 1/1 on one turn and a 1/1 on another turn, which is not bad. So I'd say it's only okay. But it's something you would grab if you saw nothing else. Alright, Gromash's Arm Guards. I think Gromash's Arm Guards is incredible if you have a weapon you're looking for. Especially in Warrior and Paladin. With Paladin, you can just literally fetch up your overpowered weapon, your 5-drop weapon. Or if you're Warrior, you can fetch up your weapon from your quest. It sucks that you're fetching your weapon for your quest now, but it also gives you an extra card. So, I would say, and does it also... Oh, it says your weapons cost 1 less. Oh, your weapons cost 1 less. And at the start of your match, draw a weapon. So that's extra cards plus discount. I think that's just solid. It turns your 5 drop into a 4 drop. You're just winning the game if you're Paladin with this. This is like run defining. No, that's run defining. It's not run defining because you could get more weapons, but it's pretty close. So that's Gromash's arm guards. It's pretty good. I don't know if run defining. I'd have to get it a couple more times to feel it out. Hold the line is not bad. Actually, you know what? No. Hold the line is dog water. What am I saying? Giving your taunt minions +3 on your opponent's turn? No, that like you're not getting any active value out of that. Your opponent's making all the decisions where they're gonna throw that 3 damage at, and it's just not enough. Like maybe it stops some, maybe it wins you a game or two in the early games, but it's just gonna be empty nonsense by the end of your run, which is with you having that, it's gonna be only 3 or 4 wins. But on a I can't even go on a brighter note. Inspiring Presence. Inspiring Presence is also garbage. After you play a legendary minion, reduce the cost of a random card in your hand by 2. That's just not amazing. Not my favorite thing in the world. How many legendary cards, unless you're like the legendary warrior and you pick the double legendary second treasure, what are you doing? Right? Like maybe you're getting that, you're proccing that once, maybe twice if you have a lot of legendaries, especially early game. So I don't think it's very good. I think it's actually dog water. So Invigorating Light, I think, is next. And whenever you play a holy spell, give all friendly characters 1 health. And that is also the face. So, and I think that's pretty good. It's a holy spell. You add 1. It's heal spell +1. Like a global effect though, with all your tiny minions, all your radiant elementals. You know, it does really good. It helps you accidentally get the sneaky like toughness kills if you're doing the like divine the bless strategies. It's not bad at all. And then a next one, oh my gosh, this is like not a good tier list, whoever made this. But next one is Kindling Flame. It is a fire spell plus damage. Fire spell damage +2. That's pretty good. That's actually, that's better than frost damage. And I would put that as a solid pick. That is a rock solid pick right there. Because there is really like what else, like what are your burn spells? Your burn spells are fire, you know, your flame strike, your ignites. Oh wow, I didn't even think about that. That's really nuts with ignite. I mean, I think that's a solid pick. I think it's a solid pick. I don't think it's run defining just because of ignite, but it can be run defining if you build the right way. And I think that's what the solid pick can be. Let's see. Mysterious Tome. No. Mending Pool is next. Mending Pool. So, Mending Pool, whenever you play a nature spell, restore 2 health to friendly characters. Not my favorite. I don't even think it's not even okay. It's dog water. It's bad. It's garbage. Like, you're not healing your minions most of the time, and even when you're not healing your minions, healing your face for 2 is just negligible, especially with the early game druids not benefiting from that at all. And you're not going to be playing a late game druid that benefits off of mending pools more than you're playing more than anything else, honestly. Let's go. Next is Mysterious Tome. Mysterious Tome extra secrets, 2 random secrets. It's actually a very solid pick. It makes your opponent think. If you have a mage secret, it can actually snipe opponents. If you have the mage counterspell, you could actually snipe a unwary opponent and their quest and make them just auto scoop. And there's just a lot of good high roll secrets, especially in mage and in hunter, the ones that make minions. And there's not really much else to say. It's 2 secrets. What can, look at the secret list and see what you can devise. And then the next one is the next treasure is Natural Force. It's not on here, so I'll have to put it on here. But it says your nature spell damage +2. And for Druid, it's pretty good. I think I would pick that if I would pick that out of a bunch of mediocre ones. If it's not a run defining, I would pick it because I think it would make your star fall and make is swipe nature? Swipe Hearthstone. It is not. But still, swipe. Hold on. Let's see. Nature spells Druid. Okay, actually in Lightning Bolt and Shaman, that's really good with Lightning Bolt. Wow. It's actually more nuts in Shaman than it is with in Druid. Yeah, pick this in Shaman. Super good in Shaman. Yeah. All right. Open next one. Open the doorway. I actually looked at the Hearthstone wiki and did not realize how many nature spells that Shaman has. It's actually kind of nuts. Especially the ones that deal damage. All right, next one. Open the doorways. And open the doorways is after your first discover in a turn, get another copy of that card. If you're a druid or you're like that hunter, if you're that discover hunter that you just try to play a bunch of discover cards in your deck and win the game, I would do it. Honestly, open the doorway, not bad. It's only okay if you have a bunch of discover in your deck. I would never call it a solid pick, but if you have like 1 or 2 discover cards in your deck and you doubled a discovered card, I think you're doing pretty good. That's like that's a lot of extra cards eventually in your run. All right, and the next one, Pillage the Fallen. Whenever your weapon is destroyed, equip a random weapon of the same cost and give it +1 attack. This is great. It's only okay, of course. It's only okay because with your weapons, most of the time you want specific effects from your weapon, and you're not wanting to play the tempo game. But if you are just an aggressive deck, playing the tempo game with your weapon, pretty good. And just being able to just attack, and not worrying about durability is a pretty nice upside to have. And I did the science in that if you equip a weapon on top of a weapon, it does not destroy the weapon. So it is pretty good. It's not the worst, but I think there's a lot of better picks. So Plaguebringer. Your spells have overload 1 and cost 2 less, but not less than 1. I would say Plaguebringer is a solid pick. It's not the best. I think it's one of the best spells, but yet you have to have a very specific deck composition. You can't be completely spells, because then you're just overloading yourself all the time. But if you have a good amount of creatures and spells, and you can balance that out really well, and especially in Druid or Shaman, a well-timed Plaguebringer is just will take over a run. you're able to do 2 things in a turn starting turn 3 sometimes. The overload does have its problems, but you can plan around that. You just really, like, especially with the discounts, you have the flexibility to play around that. But solid pick. Do it more in your shamans and in your I guess shamans and like hunters than I would in like my mages priests. But I would still pick it. It's still really hard to get Plaguebringer. Potion of Sparking. I would say Potion of Sparking is niche. It is good in Demon Hunter with the one that summons 2 rush minions and attacks, because that is just a bunch of AoE. You get like 4 extra damage than you normally would have. So it's pretty niche. It's not the best otherwise, but it does make a whole strategy in Demon Hunter go all the way and be able to compete. Recycling, whenever a friendly minion dies, gain 1 armor. Decent, good. If there's nothing else and I'm a creature-based deck, but I'm not like an aggro deck, I'll pick it. It's a good way to stay alive in the early game and gets value off of your dead creatures. You know, people play that beetle with the death rattle, gain 3 armor. Same thing. Same energy. Alright. Ronin Scrying Orb. Ronin Scrying Orb is it's a solid pick. I think it's either a solid pick or only okay. You know what? I'm going to say it's only okay compared to its counterpart and the second pool. But having your first spell cast cost 1 less. Pretty decent. It helps you pump out a couple of things that otherwise are too slow in the early game. And I think it's a good pick if you don't have another run-defining pick. Alright. Righteous Reserves. That's niche. That's Paladin. Paladin, after you play a minion with Divine Shield, give a random friendly minion at Divine Shield. That's it's pretty good for Paladin, and it helps them keep up the tempo, and it helps that it helps the Righteous Protector Divine Shield bot decks really tempo out and make sure that you can't kill their creatures unless you want them. You want them to. But it's niche because you can really only do it in Paladin. Maybe a little bit in Priest, but Robe of the Apprentice. Actually, kind of nuts whenever you have it in the right class, in a Shaman and in a Mage. Pretty good. And even in a Shaman, in Warlock it gets kind of shaky, especially if you're doing damage to yourself. But otherwise, pretty good. Not really much I can say. Spell damage +1. When do you not want spell damage +1? Pretty good. Robes of Shrinking. After you draw a spell, reduce its cost by 1 this turn. Robes of Shrinking is just worse Ronin Scrying Orb. It is just actually maybe in Demon Hunter where it's not worse than the Scrying Orb, but especially early game, you're playing you're not drawing at that many cards to gain a lot of value. And when you're drawing cards, you're losing. You don't have the mana to play multiple things 1 turn. So that's why it's dog water. Not my favorite. Every time I've picked it, I've been let down by it. Especially with how the timing works. Rocket Backpack. Solid pick if you're a creature deck. Solid. First minion you play each turn has Rush. That's awesome. Put your big thing out first, whack a thing, get face damage, and when you had to clear a taunt normally. So good. Pushes so much face damage, and it's just good utility. Makes your big minions less useless, especially if you want to play Dr. Boom, or if you want to play big minions, like it lets you rush in, enrage like a Gromosh, rush in, enrage, deal 10. It's really good, especially coupled with the warrior hero power, that the bruising. You just have complete control of the board. So, 100%. 100% a solid pick here. I don't think it's run defining, as sometimes creatures don't matter, but most of the time it's a solid pick. So they got rid of scattered Caltrops. That's why we have an unupdated version of the duels list. So small backpacks, small pouches actually. At the start of the game, draw 2 cards. It's okay. I would. This is honestly, if we're gonna rank them, I'm gonna put this at the top of only okay, because there's really not much I would pick. Like if I have if I have like one of these above it, I would like not pick it. But if this is like, if you start from here down, this is like my litmus test. So this is a good litmus test of the power level. If the game, I guess, if it can generate 2 or more cards for free, then it's eh. And this is like 2 or more cards with 0 work. So that's a good way to indicate power level on this tier list. So next, Staff of Pain. Staff of Pain is I'm gonna put it in the niche category, because I pick it every time in Diablo, and it's not bad in the Shadow Priest. You just have to really, really be careful about killing yourself, which I'm not in Diablo. But priests have options not to kill themselves, so I think it's a good niche card. But I wouldn't put it anywhere else. I don't think it's anything but a niche card. So Staking a Claim. This is actually how you can just scam an entire run. If you have a hunter and you just pick all the discover cards, you know what? I'm going to put this as niche also. Because Staking a Claim is only good whenever you build your deck around picking Staking a Claim. And you just fill your deck full of... Oh, I guess I should tell you. It's whenever you play a Discover card, all friendly minions gain +1/+1. And if you build your deck around it, it's nuts. I've gotten stomped by so many Staking a Claim hunters. And in the lower tiers, it's nuts. But if you don't have anything for it, like I had like one. I had to pick it because I had like a couple of discovers and it just did nothing. But if you build your deck around it, it takes over the game. I guess there's not another one here. Starving. Whenever a friendly beast dies, draw a card. Pretty good. Not the worst. I would say in Druid and in Hunter, not bad. I would, you know what? I would put that as a solid pick because it actually gives card advantage to Hunter, and Hunter really, really needs card advantage sometimes. All right. And next one is Sticky Fingers. Cards that didn't start in your hand cost 1 less, but not less than 1. And it's all right. It's like at the bottom of only okay. Like it is like that. It really is like I will not pick that if there is like anything better. But if I'm like a priest or if I'm like a mage or just something like a discover deck, it's not bad. It's just underwhelming. It helps you flex in a little bit of like discover plays sometimes, but otherwise, the floor is lava. After you play a minion, deal 1 damage to it and give it 1 attack. I think it's dog water because it doesn't let you have 1 mana minions. 1 health minions, and it really just makes all your minions more vulnerable to burn damage. And I don't think that's worth the upside of just 2 attack. Like, maybe if you have a bunch of charge minions, but even then you're kind of spreading your resources then with a treasure. It's almost more of a downside sometimes. Unlock potential is not in here. And Wither the Weak. After you cast a fell spell, deal 2 damage to the lowest health enemy. It is okay. It's good in Demon Hunter. It's decent. It's Warlock, but it's good in Demon Hunter. And Demon Hunter really needs something to help it push damage. And I think this Wither the Weak. Oh well, after you cast a fell spell, deal 2 damage to the lowest health enemy. And boom, that's pretty good. Like, it gives you reach. It gives you ways to snipe one health minions. Helps you clear a lot of things. Makes math easier. Not bad. Especially whenever a lot of fell spells are clear spells. You can kind of pair them together and make sure you maximize all your spells. Oh, and I forgot one, but this one I'm gonna have to edit in, and it's gonna be an Unholy Gift. At the start of the game, shuffle 5 Death Knight cards into your deck, and I would have to put that. I would have to say, in a deck where you're constantly drawing, it's not bad. So I'll put it in the only okay. It's not run defining. I don't even think it's a solid pick. But it is. I think it is like a Death Knight cards can be clutch sometimes. So being able to draw it, especially early game, pretty worth it. But I don't think you're winning your duels if you pick it. I don't think you're getting 7 wins if you pick it. And I think that's it. That's all the tier 1 treasures. Hi. And let me know how you like this video. Like, subscribe. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'm gonna try to pump out more content. Maybe lazy content like this. Tier list. Maybe, and guess what? I might have to do another treasure tier list pretty soon. And this next one, it will definitely be completely updated. I'll make sure it's updated. With that being said, I hope y'all have a great day, and stay safe.